Former Denver Broncos wide receiver Vance Johnson has gone through a lot. Life after football hasn't been easy. 9 News sports reporter Rod Mackey found Johnson in Parachute, where he has landed on his feet.
It was a game Vance Johnson had dreamed about since he was 5 years old, and he got to play in it 3 different times.
Being a part of the Super Bowl to this day, and being 48 years old, it's just something that I will never forget. Just knowing that I had the opportunity to be a part of very few athletes who have had a chance to become great ball players during their career, but never standing in the Super Bowl arena itself, being a part of the greatest game, I think, the greatest sport on earth, and knowing that you made it. It's something that they can never take away from you.
And it's something the most famous of the 3 amigos talks about often at VJ's Outlaw Ribs, a restaurant in Parachute, Colorado that Johnson owns and runs with his parents.
So this is what you get to do after your football career, guys. Own your own restaurant and have to work too.
Still, Johnson's never far from football. If his customers don't remind him about his playing days, the pictures on the walls certainly do.
When I take a look at the old pictures of when I was on a motorcycle going 120 miles an hour down there at the park off of I-70, when I look at the pictures of me and Mark Jackson and Ricky Nattil and how that came about in the 3 Amigos itself, with Mark and I eating a pizza, and then us driving around downtown Denver and finding the photographer and breaking in the Broncos office to grab our jerseys and our uniforms, and then finding out the Broncos wouldn't allow us to wear the jerseys, so we just wore some burl hats. It was such a fun time in life, and you never forget those moments.
But far from all of Johnson's moments were good.
Second wife told me that I was an abusive person.
Life after football hasn't been easy.
There were so many tough times during my lifetime, especially after my career, because I wasn't in the limelight anymore. I didn't have the money anymore. I was broke, poor, living on the floor of my office, lost my house in foreclosure. I didn't have anything. I didn't even have a love of my life. And at the time, I didn't even have my faith in my Lord and Savior, and so I was just lost.
Vance Johnson's life after football has certainly had its challenges, but his lowest point came here shortly after his move to the Western Slope.
The toughest time, however, was when I was here at my restaurant and I was standing behind that bar, and I got a call from my ex-wife, and she told me that my son died, Vaughn, and after losing him, I didn't really want to live anymore.
19-year-old Vaughn Edward Johnson died on September 9th, 2007, after the motorcycle he was driving in Denver was struck by an SUV.
I feel like it's my fault. My son could be alive today if I just got the damn car fixed. So after my son dies, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about this vehicle that I was trying to teach him a lesson that we have to get the car fixed, but you have to work first and earn the money to get the car fixed. But hell, I know, when you got a picture of me on a motorcycle, I was going 120 miles an hour, and I was reckless, and there's snow in Colorado, and it rains, and there's sand on the road. Why didn't I think about that? It was selfish of me to not say, okay, I'm gonna get your car fixed, but while your car's fixed, you're gonna work for me. And instead, I say no. And so then he resorts to riding a motorcycle. How am I not supposed to blame that on myself? Honestly, how?
Vance says to this day he's never talked to his father about Vaughn's death, but it's his dad who truly helped him get through it.
And my father came to me one day and said, hey, man, this is not the Vance Johnson that I raised. And what would Vaughn think if he knew that his father had given up on life?
Vance didn't give up. He got back on his feet and back to work. From the bright lights and the big stage of the Super Bowl to the small town of Parachute, Vance Johnson has once again found happiness.
And I see it like this. There's these huge waves in your life, and you're going to ride this roller coaster, and you need to ride the crap out of it and do the best you can. Because when that storm hits, man, it's going to be scary. But when the storm hits, just look out the windows and watch it just go by, Watch it go by. Don't go out and get in there and make a mess of yourself so you have to try to rebuild it all over again. I've been blessed, and I'm happy. And I'm here, and I, part owner of a restaurant with my name on the front of it. Got my mother and my father here, and we make great food. And I'm living the dream now. Living the dream.
A different one than that Super Bowl dream Vance had when he was 5, but one that nonetheless brings a smile to his face.
Time to go live life.
In Parachute, Colorado, Rod Mackey, 9 News.
Rod tells us Vance was recently married. In addition to working in his restaurant, he stays busy helping his new wife raise their 5-year-old son.